Oh no, nah.
And we're live, everybody. Thank you very much for coming back. It's always funny. I do it every time. People should be used to this by now. Thank you all very much for coming to the open mic night. We did have arrangements with, well, I wouldn't go so far as saying arrangements, but we have had conversations with Smoky Saint and Ontangelo from Talk Heathen. They both have said that they will be here, and they're not here. So we have been lucky enough to have everybody that's on the panel. We have Sal joining us again from a few months break. He's back again.
Hey guys.
We have the wonderful Brian. We have Jeff. We have Rib, Dave, and probably who's going to get picked on now is Richard.
Yep.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So, yeah, well, Richard, how have you been, man? You haven't been here for a couple of Thursdays. We have missed you.
Yeah, I've been working too many hours. I haven't had any free time really to speak of. I haven't done anything on my show in better than a week now, but I'm getting it back together, having some friends on and stuff. So we're supposed to have a dumpster fire tonight. Is that what's scheduled? Is that what the audience wants?
Well, the audience always wants a dumpster fire, but we are here, Richard, as you know, to try and promote good conversation amongst everybody.
Okay, well then you guys have a great night, and we'll see you around.
Right, I'm sorry, I was fucking about with the chat. The chat was absolutely huge on screen. It should be fixed now. So, Richard, me and Dave did have a discussion about a possible topic. I don't think it's going to suit you at all.
Why?
Well, I think you would be in agreement with us. But Dave, go on ahead, throw it out and give an explanation of the idea of what topic we were going to.
What is it, Dave?
Christianity and biblical law and society. Should we be looking? Christians that are aiming to implement various doctrines into law, and the state of society they want to end up with. You know, are they going for America to be a theocracy?
Had they their choice, yeah, they would. Is that the smartest thing to do? Absolutely not. Is what the Bible's suggesting? Not at all. It's just we're talking about people who have a reading comprehension level of a 7th grader, normally. So because of that, they think that it's like demanded of them, but it's just using like our normal environment and things we participate in to make example of things that matter that we don't know. That's all it is. So that being the case, you know, you can cry, oh, homosexuality is horrible all you want, but then it's actually condoned to testify and bring to heaven in Matthew 19:10-12, a quote by Jesus. So, I mean, they can say what they want. It's just they're off topic.
So, are there anything biblically that you would say is justified in law?
What do you mean?
Is the Bible justification for putting anything into
I truly believe it's not the topic of the. It's not even the topic in the work in the text. It's not the topic. It's not laws for society. So it's completely the wrong idea to say, oh, these are good laws for society. It's just like, here, I'll get a little bit out of our culture so that people can be more open-minded about it. In Islam, they say if you don't believe in Allah or you fall away from your belief in Allah, then you are an infidel. Well, that's rooted in the word infidelity, like a marriage, right? But nobody thinks that they have sex with God. You know, they don't have sex with Allah. They don't think that they do. But if you break contract with, it's like you were married and you're a cheater. Okay, so at least in Islam, they understand that that's the way their story is telling it. In Christianity, they take it literally wrong, literally.
Well, just doing a quick look there on Google, it wouldn't be necessarily infidelity as in it's just unfaithful. It's just... Right,
that's what I mean. But Christians take it as meaning actual sex when it's only using sex as an example. And actual slavery when it's only using slavery as an example. And they take it like literally but in the wrong way. So no, these should not be laws for society, not at all, ever. And we're doing better than that interpretation of those laws already. So why would we want to revert?
Well, I'll disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you wholeheartedly. Thou shalt not eat seafood or shellfish. We should bring that back. Can we bring that back?
Because you don't like shellfish?
I don't like shellfish or seafood.
Okay.
Well, the thought about the theocracy, that if they want to have that happen, is that the question?
Yes.
Dave?
Yeah, I'd say they already think they do, yeah.
Well, you see, isn't that a problem in itself between the doctrines, that they don't agree on what
Very much
they
so.
mean by that? What that even means to themselves?
But I equally think
They want a theocracy. They want a theocracy, but they haven't, amongst themselves, they haven't figured out what that is. Because they're still fighting amongst themselves as to what it is. Right?
I want to know how they reconcile the Constitution. How can you reconcile the Constitution and claim to be a patriot, to stand up for the Constitution, and yet claim to be aiming for a theocracy?
Well, that's probably the trickier thing, because so much of what a lot of them would consider Judeo-Christian values or teachings were used to prop up the very arguments for individual rights and liberties. Those are supposed to be, for many Christians, those are God-given. They cannot be taken away by man. But if you wanted to establish a theocracy, you'd probably watch a lot of those liberties get taken away by men. So they'd find themselves in a little bit of a bind.
Circle.
Yeah, it's circular.
Well, I think that I really do feel like they believe, at least a certain portion of them believe that they have a theocracy. They think that this country is founded on, like you said, Judeo-Christian values, and they feel more like they have the theocracy and we're trying to take that away than that they don't feel like they're trying to make a theocracy. They feel like they have one and we're trying to take it away from them.
Well, that's
just for the record. Is there anyone here who doesn't understand that when they said God, they were deists talking about the universe?
Oh, for the founding fathers.
Yeah, the founding fathers were like that.
Yeah, a lot of founding fathers were like that. Yeah. But it's not even that they do not want to lose their power. It's a status quo. It's something that we're all used to. It's the dreaded white privilege. Nobody wants to give up power if they have it, even if you haven't worked for it. There is power available. There's power that we have, and nobody wants to give it up.
Well, the interesting thing too is that the argument that was being made by the founding fathers in order to justify breaking free of England was essentially the same. It's a twist on the argument that justifies a monarchy, right? Like if a monarch is placed in a position of power, it was always told that was God's will. Well, they made a similar argument. It was God's will that we all have individual rights and liberties to these things, and those shouldn't be infringed upon. And so a religious argument was used to counteract, centuries of another religious argument. It would have been less persuasive for them to try to use the argument like, rights are something that humans recognize in each other, and we agree to work within these guidelines and recognize these things for ourselves because these are the objectives and goals we want for what we think is going to be the best kind of society.
Never really thought about that exact perspective. Thank you, Jeff.
Well, the Constitution goes forward and does separate state and church, but, there is not an awful lot of it in America. You can definitely see the influence of the church because of the people who are running the actual country. You look at Ireland over here, and it was always, like Rib will tell you, he's south of Ireland, I'm north of Ireland, but it is, it's a Catholic country, but Ireland is very progressive. You look back at the LGBTQ rights vote. There was people came from all over that were away in university. They travelled home just to make sure, the country itself and the people that are in it is very progressive. Over time, it has changed from what it was. But with America, it seems to be going backwards.
Yeah. Well, not only that, they're perverting the argument, too, because the Constitution, I mean, it's stating in those early documents it's not going to make a law for the establishment of a religion that only affected the federal government. The federal government wasn't going to have like a Church of America or something like that. They weren't going to do that. However, that didn't prevent there from being, for instance, a Church of North Carolina or a Church of Ohio. The states could do that. It's just the federal government couldn't. That was part of the experiment. But then as time has gone by, more and more of the rights in the Bill of Rights have been enfranchised for individuals, as people have come to think of them as something that pertains to individual citizens of a nation, not the individual states.
Yeah, it is trying to be. They're trying to make it pretty much collective, and therein is the conflict. We have federal government that was established 200 plus years already, that basically stated, hey, look, you're not going to mix the two. But we haven't changed. Like they just like you said, we're going backwards. There's no progress. And growing up here and moving around the country, the education system, for a long time already, it hasn't been allowed to progress in any way, and there lies our problem. When you speak to people who are from the United States, they have a really huge misunderstanding of even the county and city they live in. They believe in whataboutisms instead of actually participating in their community, not voting, not getting involved. I mean, vote for the other side, but at least educate yourself so you know what you're standing for, instead of just saying, hey, yeah, I'm just going to go against you because we don't agree. And that has to change.
It's weird. The rhetoric has gotten as odd as it has, because you're right. It's like the rhetoric has gotten really backward. But it seems to me like with the stuff that's going on in America with like response to COVID, like right now the issue of like sending kids back to school, the reaction that you're getting from a lot of Americans is, it seems like the Americans that are in charge, that are supposed to be coordinating whether or not kids will go back or not. I'm surprised at like the ossification of American imaginations. Like they can't conceive of a fall that doesn't have their kids going back to school. Like, look, we might actually have some record-breaking fast vaccine by the end of next spring. Is it really so detrimental to have your kids out of school for a year? Or 18 months total by the time the entire pandemic's done. And the fact that these people are just like, we don't know how to deal with it. We just have to send them back. That's what we have to do. That's what we've always done. Even people who are on the right, who have attacked public schools, can't think of any alternative. Nope, kids got to go back. We don't want to raise a nation of dummies. It's like, well, remember that the next time you defund public schooling,
correct.
in exchange for charter.
Like Betsy DeVoe's private schools that she wants the government to fund. That's
you have to get the kids back to school if you want. You have to get the kids back to school if you want to go to work. Who's going to look after the kids?
Well,
that is a real issue.
It's basically an adaptation to the issue at hand. All right, everybody seems to be working from home. There are certain things, and it's up to you. Okay, so they're like, oh, there's no jobs, there's nothing to do. Yes, there is. Go to the damn supermarket, get behind the teller, earn. There's a way to do so, but apparently that's not a job. So what isn't being observed here, what isn't being practiced, is the fact that just the same way we can't send the kids back for XYZ reasons, we now have to adapt jobs as well, because they have continue to make their money from home, and there's no denying that, and that needs to be pointed out and compared and shown. Hey, look, it's not just one damn way. They're missing that, and that has to be spoken.
And the simplest thing to do in a lot of these cases, if you've got if you got kids and jobs are getting difficult, it's getting difficult for them to balance having their kids at home and work. Maybe allow those people to stay on unemployment and throw some money at them.
Yeah.
For 2 months. That's all that had to happen. We needed a good, solid federally run lockdown for 2 solid months with good logistics. Get supplies out to people, get them their food, but everybody fucking quit the barbecues, quit going to stores, quit shopping.
You're not going to get that though, Jeff.
And then maybe we can wipe it out. That's what New Zealand did, and it worked.
Yeah.
Granted, it's a bigger lift for the United States because we're so big, but
we might be past that though, because
we are now. It's out of control now.
Yeah, we fucked up. We might be way past that, and now, I'm worried. I've already had family members die from this and affected by it directly. ICUs, comas. It's been a roller coaster. But yeah, man, I still have people I care about and worry about. Like, this is going to really affect us moving forward. Say we don't address it properly, and we actually become the nation that is not immune to it because of our disregard to it. Then what? I mean, there is that possibility. Keep ignoring it.
This is the problem, though. We could come out of it quicker if we followed simple rules.
Yes.
No country really seems to be willing. America, the least, apparently. Simple rules.
Rules like what?
Wear a mask.
Yeah.
We don't need
Okay,
rules.
let's say I wear a mask all the time, but I go to a public place where other people have touched surfaces, and I touch those surfaces. Then I reach my unwashed hand up and I remove my mask.
You don't. You should be washing your hands before you remove your mask.
Yeah.
Okay. So wear a mask and wash your hands before you.
Sorry,
touch
wash your
the mask.
hands is more important. I didn't think that needed saying.
Self-explanatory.
Right. Avoid touching your face at all costs. Like,
And this is one of those. It's one of those side effects of wearing a mask that is good. Right?
Yeah.
The reason that masks help you prevent you getting infected, not because the mask stops it, but because it stops you touching your face.
Mm-hmm. And it stops you from spreading it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's new habits. It's new muscle memory. It's getting used to a new habit that you weren't used to, and it's not a bad one. It's rhetoric, man. There's nothing wrong with it.
Richard's been through training in the military, wearing gas masks and protective equipment, so he knows the deal.
Okay.
You gotta
Then
do it.
I worked OSHA hazmat for a couple years too.
Oh, forget it. You know the deal. He knows
It's one
the
of,
drill.
one of those things I don't understand. It's why is the anti-maskers in America not suggesting masks that would actually protect them?
I think they're afraid of getting. There's something about some perceived freedom that they think they're losing. I think.
They feel like they look weak when they have a mask on. It's like a sign of that they've surrendered to Bill Gates, I guess.
Yeah, this dates back to when all of this first started at the beginning of the year, and it was a hoax. That's where this comes from.
So Nate Brody. Nate Brody said, when you go into a store, the store says, "Hey, you got to have a shirt on. You can't come in naked.
Mm-hmm.
If you come in the store naked, we're going to throw you out.
Right.
We're going to call the cops on you." They do it all the time. People don't realize.
Yeah.
That was what Nate Brody said. I heard him say that. And he was talking
It is true.
Okay, you're required to cover parts of your body. This is just a different part of your body that a company can require you to cover when you step inside.
Right. So you just got to deal with it. Like you got to wear shoes when you go in the store sometimes.
I think some of it too, though, is that I think that people think that like the masks are part of some kind of like pandemic theater, kind of like all the security steps.
Conspiracy.
Well, when the security steps that kicked up after 9/11, some of them, some agencies and stuff went a little too far. Like stuff just everybody kind of lost their minds for about a year. So with this one, that they don't think that it's real. Plus, a lot of people, try explaining to some of these people what a novel virus is, what that concept means. They don't get it. It's
obviously something that eats books.
Yeah.
And it's weird because you even see it on television. It's like this isn't one of those things where it's like a strain of the flu where there is some herd immunity and people's immune systems already have an idea how to fight off bugs similar to that. This is something that's like it is related to some of these other coronaviruses, but it's a novel virus. If you're exposed to it sufficiently, you will get it. And if everybody gets it at the same time, you're going to clog up the hospitals and a lot more people are going to die just because they can't get any treatment, not the best treatment. Just they're not going to be able to get anything.
Yeah. Science Journal recently published a PDF by the head doctor in charge in China. Her name is Dr. Shi. It was really interesting. This is really just a virus that has evolved. It managed to either by host or on its own jump from bat to human. There is no indication that frozen food at the market had any traces of the COVID. They did find it on some surfaces. That's why you have to wipe everything down and keep your hands clean. But what they can't seem to figure out is how it went from bat to human, and they're thinking it's host. This isn't a conspiracy. This wasn't leaked. The fucking thing just mutated. Mutated. It evolved. That's it.
Yeah, there was a hypothesis that it had gone from that it was in pangolins for a while, and they're closely related enough to like civet cats and stuff like that, where they close to it because they eat bat guano in their diet. It gets into them, and then they jump from that cohort, or what they call a reservoir, to us.
Yeah. So the biggest part of the conspiracy involves they've been studying this for years, and they've had COVID-19 is basically SARS-2, the respiratory virus. But they've had this in the lab for years because they found it in bats, but it didn't show any indication that it could affect a human. So it's not that they dismissed it, but it's been there. And now that it happened, they actually published that they went through a vigorous they vigorously tested everyone to make sure it wasn't leaked. No one in the lab came out infected. No one in the lab leaked it. It wasn't a leak. So somewhere in nature this happened, and it didn't happen precisely at the market, although they go to the market because typically that's where all this is spreading. In the first few cases indicate to 6 people in Wuhan, not Wuhan market, Wuhan market, tested positive. I think they died, and only one of them out of the 6 had the actual COVID-19. So yeah, this is random. This is random, and we gotta fight it like everything else. And
we were doing really well here in Northern Ireland. We had something like 5 or 6 days, no new cases. Everything was great. Everything was grand.
You guys listened.
They opened it up a wee bit, and they did open it up. And I've said this to Dave. I've been very much looking forward to going back to the swimming pool with the daughter because she loves to go swimming. And it was Friday last week they were opening it. Then we got 9 new cases. Then they moved it to Monday. Now I haven't checked again, but they've had another spike and another bounce. And either they're going to move it or they're going to stop it. And even if it is open, I ain't going to the fucking swimming pool. I'll go back down to the river and play in the river. It just shows that even though, as you say, man, we did do well. We all closed up, and we are a sparsely spread out country. There's not many people where we live, and even at that, it just takes that small amount. Wear your masks, stop the spread of it. But people don't realize.
We have Michael pop in, and he's got the Canadian perspective there. So let's hear how things are going on there.
Thank you, Michael, for joining us. Just didn't get a chance to say, all right, Brian's a host. All right.
Sorry for all the noise, Michael.
Oh, no worries. Thanks so much for having me. So Canadian perspective, Americans in particular are just
just let it out.
The
Just
leadership,
say it, man.
Yeah. The leadership, speaking specifically of the current government, is just moronic. The people in general, from this side of things, I have a lot of friends in the U.S. and it seems to be one of 2 ways. They're either like really responsible, or somehow wearing a mask is infringing on my personal freedom, which is the dumbest thing a human can say. But it also shows what I think is a degree of unbelievable selfishness. You're not wearing a mask to protect yourself. You're wearing a mask to protect other people, and other people are wearing their masks to protect you. And you wash your fucking hands, and this is not rocket surgery. Like, it's just not that hard. We haven't had anywhere near the amount of cases that a lot of other countries have had. We are now opening. So in the provinces, basically, each province had the capacity to open as they saw fit, given some set guidelines laid down by the federal government. And Ontario is now in stage 3. We are averaging around 100 cases per day or so. We've had some with under that. And this is with a population of, like Southern Ontario. Toronto's the 4th largest city in North America. Southern Ontario is around, if you include the whole Golden Horseshoe, about 10 million people. So I think we're doing pretty good. And the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, has said in no uncertain terms that if we get a spike, it's done. They're just locking the fucking thing up again. So, as opposed to what we see, south of the border and in places like Brazil, like just, where they're just like, it's going to go away. It's going to go away. It's not, it's like that scene from, remember those Naked Gun movies when Leslie Nielsen is standing in front. It's a meme now. You can find like a GIF where Leslie Nielsen is standing in front of this exploding fireworks store. And he's saying, "Nothing to see here. Nothing to see." And it's like, nothing's going on. Don't look behind the curtain. Everything's totally fine. And it's so clearly not.
Okay, if I can just address the chat. Smokey, there is room for you. We will get you in. You have no fear of anybody being disrespectful. I kicked my girlfriend last week for being disrespectful. This is a fair platform. Only thing you don't have to do is speak over me. You want to try and speak over people and scream and shout, nobody's going to be able to hear anything. That is why the rule, one person talking at a time, is there. Respect each other is a decent rule. And it's my channel, so when I talk, everyone's quiet. That's a rule on everybody's channel. There's room for you here. We've been waiting. Links in the description. When you jump in, you will get preference. You will get to ask any question you want, and then we will go from there. So
it seems fair to me.
Yeah, well, I thought the rules, I don't like implementing rules, personally. But at the end of the day, you need to have some rules. And talking over each other is a respectable rule.
Yeah, well, it's just basic rules. Like, because if you're going to have a conversation, there's no point in, 4 or 5 people all talking at once because you can't hear anything. And that's just, you're getting people to say what they said again. And it's, so it's just like...
Well, he's not going to come in, so he's running. He's not coming in.
He's doing a video in 30 minutes with Antangelo. Wasn't it
Antangelo told me yesterday that he was coming.
Yeah, both Antangelo and Smokey have both said they would come here. They would both be up for it, and they're running. They're not coming on.
I can turn my camera off if that would help if I'm too much to look at.
You're just too Canadian. They can't deal.
Just come on.
I'd like to know who he's actually got a problem with.
Rib. Everybody has a problem with Rib. You will hurt too many feelings.
Apparently so. Yeah.
There's no man. We're all grown men here, Smokey. Come on in.
Yeah.
Don't run.
He's older than I am.
Don't run. Join the hangout.
He's older than I am.
Yeah. I won't bring up the whole endorsing slavery thing. I promise. Oops, I just did.
Bring Antangelo with you, come in here, and then you all can do an after party or something. It's cool. We're gonna,
I feel left out. I'm gonna have to spend some time with Rib so he can offend me.
I mean, apparently I'm very good at it. I didn't know I was good at it, but apparently it's something that comes quite easily to me. So
natural gift. That's what I'm talking about.
Smokey,
apparently
come in, and everybody will be quiet. You can say your piece, and then we will take turns. You don't have any questions. Well, I'm sure that some people have questions for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 30 minutes to kill, I mean, this will be a good way to do it.
Come on in for 15 minutes. We had a really... No, in all honesty, everything
15,
aside, right?
Minutes.
Everything aside, and all the people here that have had interactions with Smokey, I had a genuine interaction with the man on the music analyst's channel, and I've seen Smokey be rude and ignorant to people, but I have to say he wasn't to me. And out of respect for that, he can come onto the channel, and I will show him the same respect that he showed me.
It's the accent. Everybody loves your accent.
yeah.
Pretty sexy.
Why doesn't it work for Rib?
It's that
Rib's too
James
southern.
Bond.
Rib's that southern that nobody understands his accent. I'm just in the middle.
I mean, I'm not a gay man, but if I were a gay man.
Yeah. Actually, Kevin's got to be careful too, because I totally do Kevin.
Guys, come on, let's have a conversation.
I will pass that information on.
I'm sure my wife won't mind at all.
Yeah, sure.
Bring him around in the honeymoon, make it the anniversary, make a family thing or group thing out of it, not a family thing. Fuck.
Dare I say that was a Freudian slip there?
Do you want kicked? Do you want kicked?
Some salt and pepper with that foot.
Hey, genetically, we're all brothers and sisters anyway, and that's just the truth of it.
Well, if I can say, Michael, who has joined us, the Canadian Atheist podcast, will be joining us on Wednesday for a one-on-one interview. We'll get to find out more about him and a wee deep dive into what he's done. He's been on Modern Day Debate, screaming and shouting at a lot of people, so should be fun.
Yeah, and anybody, this and as an open invitation to anybody here, except Rib, I've had enough of him. That I'd love to have anybody on the show. We got really lucky, and we shared this during the last. Actually, it would have been on the stream that you shared, Rib. We got really lucky early. Armin Navabi came on the program and blasted us out to his audience, and so we've had a good deal of success. We've had a couple names on the program you may have heard of: Matt Dillahunty, Ken Hovind, Lawrence Krauss, Aaron Raw. So,
Who?
Yeah, I heard one of them. Maybe no.
Just
one
kidding.
Of them.
Want. So it's a lot of fun. So I like hearing deconversion stories. I like talking to Christians. It's all lots of fun.
Yeah, well, I enjoy talking to Christians, and Richard, that's directly above you, man. He'll vouch for this. You know, we've done 7, 8, 9 months, 3 series together. You know, and as much as we fuck each other off, and I scream at alien overlords. You know, we're respectful in the way that we do that, if that sounds strange. But
I don't know. I go cry later, so I don't know about this respect.
That's sad.
No, but we do. I try to be fair. And as best as I can. You know, watch the previous 2 open hangouts. Watch the interviews I've done. Follow me around if you must be, you fucking stalkers. But I generally try and be as fair as I can. And the fact that Smokey won't come here, at least he did arrive in the live chat to let me know that he wasn't going to come on. Tangelo did not turn up. And I find it, from your point of view, Smokey, when I go around to your hangouts, I see all these Christians and I see maybe 1 or 2 atheists. They go in and they don't get the time. They don't get equal time. They do get muted. Here, I'm promising you equal time, equal rules, all the same. You know, it's a fair platform, man. You want to run? Yeah. Down till it's up to you. You do realise, though, that if you run this week and Rib or whoever you have a problem with doesn't come on next week, when you do come on next week, they're going to jump in.
He's in the back room.
Okay, right. Sal, I'm going to kick you.
You good?
Hold on, guys. Hold on. I gotta switch my audio. Give me a minute.
There you
Sorry.
go. Thank you very much.
Rib, I have a question for you. When Jill canceled on you, did he give you a reason as to why you had to cancel yesterday?
Yeah, he said the motion was bullshit, even though he agreed to it twice.
Smokey, you still have the video playing on your computer there.
Hold on. Sorry.
There you go. Perfect, man.
Can you guys actually hear me still?
Oh yeah, you're louder than everybody. You're like the voice of God. No pun intended.
Oh wow, no kidding. Divine inspiration, lovely.
Smokey, thank you very much for joining.
Sure, no problem. I probably only want to spend maybe 10 minutes or so because I'd like to go get over there early and just be ready with my stuff. So I don't know if you guys. I didn't really have anything I particularly wanted to say unless you guys just wanted to ask me questions or something.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, man, you know, is the garlic bread going to be nice?
Did you enjoy it?
Sorry, flashback humor yesterday.
It was sad. I felt a little bad because I knew that Chris Keith was taking away from your garlic bread. I tried to chase him away. I did my best. Apologies for that.
No. Well, that's what I'm just as a bit of context. I did jump on for 10 minutes, and I don't want him to think it was an excuse that I jumped on for 10 minutes. That I did. It was 6:30. I was making dinner. But
it's fine. We believed you. We didn't think you were creating a dodge to leave. That no one was thinking.
Well, I had a cordial conversation with you yesterday. I appreciated you joining. Tangelo did say he would join as well, but he hasn't turned up. You have no questions for any of us, so literally the guy beside you is Richard. He's a Christian. We'll ignore him. We'll move on to Brian. Brian, have you any questions that you would like to ask Smokey?
Yeah, I had some questions about...
You're only getting one. He's got 10 minutes.
I'll give one question. Okay, I was watched your debate with Jackson Wheat, and I had heard you say that one shortcoming was that we didn't have genetic evidence of the fossil species to show the evolution.
It was one of the tragedies for both sides. I think.
Yeah. You said, and I agree that does suck that we can't look at the genetics of these animals. But we don't. When we do a heritage test, we don't go and dig up the ancestors and do a genetic test on them. We test our genes, and then we have the genes of the other people that descend from that people group, and we can match it up without having to look at the genetics of these forebears, and we accept the
morphology.
No, with genetics we can look like if you said like a 23andMe thing in, so we can track that.
But we don't do that all the way back into prehistoric.
Okay, good. Yes. Okay, here we go. So that's what I was wanting to ask: is where do you draw the line, and why? Why is that we can use that same information that we do to track our ancestry to different people groups, so we cannot use it to check?
I think that was my point about the idea of the manifestation of genetic convergence, which in essence where we see a repeating design, that happens with different heredities that don't actually come from each other. Like the assumption inside evolutionary theory for the ratites, which was that they were all coming from one singular flightless ancestor because they all had very, very similar features, and that was the assumption for a very long time until we could look at their actual gene information, and we realized no, they came from three separate lineages but all developed the same characteristics. So that to me was something that kind of, I think, threw a wrench in the works of some of these phylogenetic classifications. That was one of the points I was making.
Okay, and I guess what I was asking, and maybe it didn't confer that. I can tell that I have Irish ancestry, and MathPig has Irish ancestry. We can trace ourselves back to the same people group, and we don't have to see our common ancestor and check their genetics to know that we came.
Right. Yeah. No. I think really what was happening is I don't have an issue with the idea of minor speciation, adaptation over time, selective breeding. All these things are definitely, to me, and I had mentioned in the debate, natural components, which I think that if they were not there, life would not be able to survive. So those things that seem very naturalistic in the point of view of the naturalist, to me, seem like an essentiality from a design perspective, if that helps.
Well, I guess...
Do you think it only goes back as far as a species?
Sorry?
And it stops. You think it only goes back as far as a species?
Well, see, that's a tough thing to say.
Between species.
I mean, that's a tough thing to say too, because I don't think we even really know the lines that define a species.
So, why does genetic mapping work for tracing within human groups, but when it gets to tracing?
Well, have we traced the human groups back to non-human, or I guess maybe I should say non-primate genetic ancestors?
Well, we have genetic markers that we share with mammals. We share with all primates. We share with all platyrrhines.
And that's my point exactly. There's those common characteristics, cross species, not necessarily common information, not necessarily coming from the same source, coming from different lineages. And I see that repeat information or that repeat design in different lineages that don't seem to have a common ancestor. That to me creates a problem in phylogeny.
That you see it that they don't. Are you talking about like convergent morphologies, or are you talking about?
Sure, gene flow, convergent evolution, like convergent evolution in the regards of my other example. My example, other than the ratites that I gave in the debate, was the example of the octopus eye and the human eye. And granted, they're very, very structurally similar, but they have very specific, different design components. For the sake of one being able to operate, underwater with the level of light that they have, if we had the exact same type of eyeball with the exact same design, our eyes would burn out of our eyes. So, like the idea is that what you see is a similar design component, but you see a very different design feature and purpose. And that other example I gave was the emergence of the pedactyl limb, and just the fact that it's not like nature in its utilitarian way decided to create a whole bunch of different types of limbs. It took one specific type of limb, redesigned and repurposed it across the board for all the terrestrial phyla. And that to me seems, I mean, certainly for me and my agents of detection, seems to be reminiscent of a design component.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna let somebody else ask some questions.
Yeah,
But,
if they're finished.
I'll give you guys another 3 or 4 minutes. So try.
Yeah,
try
that's if we can, man. If we can get just maybe 2 more people to get questions. I know Rib and I know Dave had a question apiece. So if Rib can ask one and then Dave can ask one. Sure. Michael, I know, is probably chewing at the bit, but if you're limited in time, we'll go. And then we've got Antangelo, so we can chat with Antangelo.
There he is. Perfect.
Yes, hello, good evening, guys.
Thank you very much for joining, Antangelo. You are only 43 minutes late.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that. And I have my own channel starting the first debate tonight between Smokey and James. So yeah. I'm sorry for being late, but I'll be happy to be another.
Yeah, well, this is a regular thing, man. Regular Thursday. So if Smokey's only got a couple of minutes, we'll go with Rib, then we'll go with Dave.
Cool.
Play nice, you fucker. I know you're Irish.
I promise I won't bite this time, Rib. I'll be nice.
Really?
I promise.
All right, okay. You may come to regret those words, but why does asking someone a question 3 times make them a troll?
Because I think if you're not satisfied with the first answer, you're just trying to troll to get a different answer that you want. I mean,
well, I asked
why
would questions.
Okay. What were the different questions? Were they all about the same thing?
No, they were the super chats on the live debate.
Right, and they were all about my actions and behavior and word usage, right? I mean, you rephrased it different ways, but it was basically all about why was I being disrespectful in a debate I hadn't been disrespectful in. So I don't know what point you were trying to make.
I was referring to past debates. I was referring to other debates that you had done.
You think that was an appropriate place for that?
Considering
in a debate that I
if I can just jump in, use 2 arguing over a comment that happened really don't entertain me.
I think it's petty. I'd rather talk about something else.
Have a direct question, poke him on something that's annoying, and go with that. But don't fight over a debate that happened on a comment that happened. We're not going to get
anywhere. Okay, fair enough.
Limited time. Do that next week when we've got an hour. You can fight over it for 20 minutes.
You can just go to the next person. I'm fine.
Dave.
By the way, but before we continue, hold on. Let me go ahead and say this. Rib, you know what? I was really harsh in an email to you, and I said some pretty harsh things to you here and there. So let me go ahead and say this. You know what? I'll admit it. I cross the line here and there. I do. You know, I struggle with my flesh, and I admit it too. I don't admit myself to be a perfect person. So I'll tell you what. If you feel really, really heavily slighted by my treatment to you, go ahead and accept my sincere apology right now. I hope maybe perchance we can have another discussion or debate sometime in the future. So accept my apology. I probably did cross a line here or there in some of my words, so I apologize.
All right, accepted.
Well, at least that's one step forward.
All right, cool.
Dave.
All right, next.
Do you think government should be legislating biblical law?
Absolutely not.
Do you think it is right for them to anyway?
Give me an example.
If they choose, for example, outlawing homosexuality.
Outlawing it how?
Banning it, punishing people for it?
I could understand a situation where people would want to protect the integrity of the nuclear family and saying that it should not be publicized. It should not be a naturalized, normative, cultural component. But in terms of actually stopping people's free will decisions, I don't believe that's a Christian ethical principle.
Interesting. So the free will has to be there.
Well, let me draw it full circle for you in terms of how I interpret, like, especially the Old Testament laws, because I think what happens is kind of the ancient Jews get a little bit of a bum rap. You know, they kind of get painted a little bit like the modern Muslims, that they were just out kind of, you know, hunting adulterers and hunting gays and looking for opportunities to kill them. And, you know, from Jewish history, you know, we know, and from the from a lot of the writings of the rabbis. It was a pretty bloody Sanhedrin if they executed someone once every 80 years. And part of the temperament inside the Jewish law was that extra verse that atheists tend to sometimes ignore. Only by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses can someone be put to death. What that means is that basically a private indiscretion inside the camp of Israel would never be publicized enough to be possibly levitated to a point of a death penalty. Only a pagan practice in an actual public setting where there could be 2 or 3 witnesses to the event would something actually be punishable by death. So when some of the Christians jump onto these fundamentalist routes to try and treat these types of laws, they don't have an appreciation of actual legal structure, and particularly the ancient Jews' legal structure for what they were trying to accomplish. So if that helps a little bit.
I like your answer a lot. Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem. I got time. I'll give you one more.
Michael, do you want to have a go? Richard, have a go. Just out of curiosity, Richard and Smokey, do you know each other? Have you met?
Yeah, Richard, nothing but respect. He stopped in on one of my streams, and I've stopped into a couple of mine. I think he's a great guy, very interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
I hate him for dyeing his beard red, but I'll not hold it against him.
It's all right. It gives him a little bit of fire. I don't mind it. Yeah, makes him look a little bit more dangerous and fits his background. I like it.
Richard, as another Christian as another person under the Christian umbrella, have you any questions that you would like to ask Smokey Saint to hash out some differences in beliefs that Jews would have?
Yeah, why is the etymology of the word master in the slave laws interpreted best as sovereign, and why didn't we not read it that way?
As in sovereign over the lives of the people?
I take it as sovereign, meaning a positive term, but a direct reference to Christ.
Over the servants? I'm sorry,
Yes.
Richard. I don't know if I'm quite understanding the question.
No, you've got it right. It's just a really unusual idea about the context within the text.
Well, in the context, I think maybe are you trying to maybe draw the illusion that the anecdote that Paul uses of the bond slave? Is that maybe where you might be going with it?
Well, more that I think it's using actual slavery as an example of alignment to God through Christ.
Well, yeah, and then yes, I would draw it full circle to Paul's example that he's made himself a bond slave to Christ. And by the way, the principle of the idea of the bond slave was a unique and considerably powerful idea in ancient Israel, and something to be considered. The idea that there was something inside the Jewish law to basically positive reinforcement of beneficial treatment of slaves, to where even if the slave had a rightful opportunity to leave, if you were treating them well and providing for them, there was an opportunity to have them want to be bonded to you for the rest of their lives. And this was a principle that would work on both sides. It would make the slaves basically want to please the master, and the master want to be decent to the slave, so that there would be a inspiring through the law of a beneficial union between the two. And I think that's one of the reasons why Paul uses that analogy later on. I forget which book, but he basically says he's made himself a bond slave to Christ, is that he has accepted, dominion of Christ over his life, and basically, I think in your perfect illusion, their sovereignty, accepted his sovereignty. So yeah, sure, I'd go with that.
Okay, thanks.
Cool.
Perfect.
All right, gentlemen. Well, hey, I appreciate it. It was a good time. I'm going to go finish, get myself a cup of coffee and get ready for my debate here.
If I can say, man, set your alarm next week. Don't be late. We'll make a night of it. It should be fun. I hope this has been a small introduction into, at least, you've seen me, you've met me, man. I'm fair. I'll call you a cunt when you're a cunt, but I try and
I don't mind. I got a pretty thick skin.
I try and be as equally evil to everybody. So
it's all good. Me too.
Right.
Well, no,
I'll
I try
let
to be
you go,
evil to the
and then
evil
we'll ask
ones,
Antangelo a few questions if we can get a few minutes with Antangelo.
Cool. Awesome. All right, guys. Well,
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
it. Take care. Have a good night. Enjoy your stream.
Yeah.
Tangelo, you still there?
Yes.
Can we get a few minutes with yourself, man?
Yeah, just a few minutes because my stream will start in 7 minutes, so it's just a short time. Go ahead.
What's the name of your channel so we can put it in the description of the video?
Yeah, sure. Just a moment.
Is it just on Tangelo? Is it your set? Is it your?
It's the God Talk.
The God Talk.
Yeah, here it is.
I cannot see the private chat at all, mate. Dave, post it in the live chat for me, Dave. There you go. Boom. Dave's
There
done.
you go. There.
So, we can go over there maybe afterwards. Maybe we'll go for a wee bit and then we'll bounce over and stuff. But on Tangelo, I wanted to ask you, man, you are a young Earth creationist. You don't believe in evolution either. Yes?
No. I believe in evolution, but there is a distinction between adaptation and macroevolution and common ancestry. I don't believe in common ancestry, and I don't believe that biodiversity can be explained through macroevolution of a first degree of speciation.
Why can't it be explained by macroevolution?
Why?
Biodiversity, in my understanding, cannot be explained by macroevolution of first degree of speciation. Second degree of speciation that exists, but not first degree. First degree is big changes like the emergence of eyes, ears.
I understand what you're saying, but you said it can't be. I don't understand why it can't be.
He wants to know the mechanism that's stopping speciation from being responsible for the biodiversity we see.
There are totally different mechanisms between adaptation. Adaptation is a life essential mechanism which had to exist when life started, because if organisms cannot adapt to the environment, they die. So that is life essential, and the mechanisms that provide adaptation, they are not the same mechanisms that provide organismal architecture and body form. That are totally different things. And I have substantial literature on my virtual library about that, and I can give it to you guys to have a look, and then we can discuss about it. I can give you a link, and then you guys can have a look at it. There is a lot of information there. Just a moment.
Have you read a modern textbook on evolutionary biology?
I read evolutionary science papers on a daily basis.
So then, why would you say everything you said? Because all of that has been explained up until now.
Well, upon my understanding, what defines organismal form, that just said in a nutshell, is pre-programmed information in genetic and epigenetic information and signaling.
Tangelo, from where is it pre-programmed? Because there's no evidence of that.
By God. By God.
Okay, so before you make that claim, I need to see the evidence of God. Because
no, you don't. That's not necessary. You
without
that's not
just that small thing, just
that tiny. Because everything you said has already been explained without God, without any necessity.
Okay, listen, guys. I left a link on the chat. Yeah. You can have a look at it. My stream starts in 3 minutes, so I apologize.
No.
But I will be more than happy to come again at your channel, and then we can go through it in depth.
Perfect.
Yes,
okay.
You have my email, man. Check out the channel about page. It's hogfathermp@gmail.com. Send me an email, man, because I have no contact details. I was just hoping that you would turn up. Send me something that we can get in contact, and we'll maybe sort out a wee small panel or something. Go have fun.
Okay, I did leave my email in the chat. You can write me, and I will write you back with my information. Okay.
I have some questions for you that I really wanted to talk to you about from your call to your friendly neighborhood atheist. But we can reconvene.
I've been more than happy.
See you
later. To answer these questions at another opportunity.
He's already late. Go, man.
Or eventually, if you guys are still up in an hour or so, I don't want to extend my first event for more than an hour. It's not my topic that I understand very much, so I will just moderate it. But if you guys in 1 hour are still here, then I can come back and then we can chat about these issues.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. We might even all turn up and crash your stream, and we'll see how it goes.
If it helps,
or after the debate, I can also invite you guys to my channel. You can join in, and then we can debate and chat about these issues. No problem.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you again for joining.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So I think he's saying that those are two separate systems and shouldn't be correlated together. generally speaking. But I have an interesting question. Maybe one of you guys could answer. What benefit in the environment would there be to the same genetic code being located in different areas along the genome?
In what sense?
Yeah.
In what sense? For instance, I have a radius and an ulna. So does a chimpanzee. So does a dolphin. So does a rhinoceros.
Plate tectonics. It's that
I couldn't hear.
Plate tectonics. Plate tectonics. The Earth
That's
moves around.
That's not the answer. Hold on.
Yeah, that's the answer.
That lost me completely.
All right, I can explain it to you if you got a second. Look, okay, so from what it seems that we have observed, okay, and one of the reasons the theory of evolution is so concrete is that every time you keep tracing it back, it all has to do with the literal formation of Earth. Rock formation, how it formed, how everything formed on Earth. Building blocks came out of that from all the chemical mixtures. At one given point in time, okay, everything was basically locked into the Earth through the atmosphere, electromagnetic sphere, etc. And those chemicals started responding to each other. They started interacting. One of the first basic building blocks on Earth come from rocks. Okay, now these rocks have to move around, and all these organisms are living on these rocks. And we all come from one spot. The simple fact that everything's spread out was due to the fact that the Earth is constantly moving around. I'm sorry, I had to.
That's extremely not my question, though, Gio. I'm sorry, eases them.
No, go ahead.
I love the fact that your Freudian slip is I'm so used to them sort of questions from Gio. I'm just
right.
I love Geo too. I love Geo too. But no, what I'm saying is when the first cells, when the first organisms, living organisms, became spread out, which is what I think you're talking about. Mm-hmm. What would be the environmental advantage to say, I don't know, a protein accepting orifice being located somewhere else on the RNA, for instance. If it does exactly the same function, why would the outside environment care where it was located enough that it would require movement?
It doesn't. Everything responds to its environment.
It doesn't. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a survival advantage. It just has to not be a disadvantage. If it's not detrimental to the creature, to the life form procreating, if it's able to propagate with whatever current layout that it has in its genetics, it will continue to do so.
Is use of energy and resources that are unnecessary detrimental to the survival of a life form?
Okay, there is huge arguments about this. Yes,
there is.
Of course there is. But the point is, the mechanism by which evolution can work, by which animals can survive, requires this random manipulation and moving and introducing errors left, right, and center to be able to evolve.
Mama has
arrived. I'm talking about similarities. I'm not talking about errors.
No.
I'm talking about things that are exactly the same everywhere.
No. They're all errors. They're all errors. Whenever they talk about it, they are transcription errors. They are duplicating a bit from here that shouldn't be here and putting it here, and then that's the bit that sticks around. They all come back to transcription errors. It's the fact that decopying DNA is not a perfect process.
It just matters if it can
transcription errors would change the shape, length, etc. of an ulna. Fair. It's perfectly fair. Why is the ulna's code, which codes for that bone, in different places sometimes?
Because it got moved. Because there was a transcription error that put it somewhere else.
A transcription error took a complete set that works.
Yes.
It needed to
and moved it somewhere completely different.
Richard, what you are failing to misunderstand is that there's nothing controlling anything.
I'm not failing to misunderstand that there's nothing
Then
controlling
stop referring to that, because that's what it seems like you're referring to. That like this something was like programmed. Like there's no program here. This is just organisms responding to their environment, and that's what it's different.
I'm not suggesting a forward-thinking memory. I'm really not.
Okay.
I'm asking what naturalistic mechanism of environment could cause a working code to be somewhere else along the total genome.
It is literally just a transcription error.
Yeah.
You look in there, the number of times bits, functioning bits, non-functioning bits are duplicated.
How big's a bit?
Say again?
How big's a functioning bit? How big's that?
It varies. It can be up to in the bits I've looked at within the human genome. Yeah, it can be a million base pairs, a couple of million base pairs. It can be huge.
Yeah, it's not
and
just
finally, before I say goodnight, and I have to get off because I'm doing a show myself. And thanks for letting me on your show, but I'm sorry, I got to go too and get ready for that. But before I go, I have to say, how would I know the difference between existing genetic material being purposefully moved somewhere else versus accidentally moved somewhere else?
Usually, okay, you would see it. Intentionally is a bit. Intentionally, I'm not sure, but in terms of watching the progress of it happen, there will also be errors in it that you will pick up at different points.
Are you talking about dog
I should
breeding?
have to look into that then.
Are you talking about dog breeding? Is that like where you're heading to?
Nope.
Because nothing's placed anywhere.
No, from the context that he's talking about, everything is placed somewhere. It's just not. We're arguing
Not purposely versus accidentally. Yeah.
placed there.
All right.
Right.
Richard, before you go,
yes, sir.
Would you do me a favor?
Maybe.
Would you pretend to get really angry at everybody in the panel, call us all a bunch of names, and say that we're all a bunch of atheists, baby eaters, or something? Because I was very excited to have a flame background for a dumpster fire earlier, and it didn't happen. So can you scream at some people?
Oh gosh.
You know,
I'm not good at that anymore. I used to be pretty good at that.
I'll
tell you what.
You're not a real Christian. You just believe in superior aliens.
Yeah, I might be able to provoke it, Matthew.
Manda, Manda wants to talk. Manda wants to talk.
Oh, peace and respect, Manda.
I just wanted to say that, Richard, your beard is super fucking red.
It is. Yep. It's an accident.
We had this conversation already.
Richard, continue yelling at me.
Response that you're looking for.
No, I don't really get into yelling at people anymore, but I'll say something relatively controversial that maybe you guys can all yell about. Or maybe even Christians can yell about it. It's a necessity of the text. It's what's being described is Yahweh is only a product of a naturalistic, Darwinistic type of evolutionary process, and we're just repeats of that.
Say that again, but stick at the end of it, Dave, you're an asshole, will you?
I really can't. I'm sorry. I love you all very much. Peace and respect to you all, and have a great night. Hope to see you again soon. Maybe I'll have more time.
Night, Richard.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Cheers, man.
I was going to try to provoke him by saying his silly god doesn't exist.
Well, it's an alien.
You know, I'm much more willing to put a belief in an alien than I am in anything else, man. I mean,
yes, but probability, a higher probability does not necessarily, because the probability is so high. Maya!
Yeah.
Brilliant! Thank you, Dave. This is why Dave has part controls of the stream tonight. I didn't even see you in the background.
Dave, you're an idiot. I'm not a Christian, but does that still count?
Oh, no, I don't think there's any Christians left. We've scared them all away.
Yeah, nabbit.
It's all right.
I'm a pastafarianist. That counts.
Hold on. Okay. I'm going to move Manda up into a nice prominent position so the two women can be in top just as the way it should be. There we go. Manda, thank you very much for joining us. Maya, thank you very much for joining us. I know you've missed all the fun, but...
I know. I wanted to,
I don't know, rag on Richard for being such a dumb fuck. Like, it's Thursday. I thought it was like MathPig and Richard Day.
Well, no, well, this is the third open mic night that we've had. We have ran through 3 books, and we sort of came to the agreement that if we just did the same thing again without having a break. No, basically, I fucking told him I was going to go mad. If we didn't take a break, because, you know, from my point of view, there was like 7 Christs in the last 3 episodes. It was... I needed to take a break, and to be desperately honest, I want to build bridges. I want to get back to what it was, man. You know yourself, you tried with the great debate community and things like that. You know, trying to get the open community back again, trying to make it more, you know, inclusive of everybody from all wakes of life and views. And
it's hard. Holy shit. It's hard. People really do not want to get along with one another.
No, they really don't. I watched a video from Noel Plum from, I think it was 18 months ago, and its title is Atheists Hate Each Other. And 18 months ago, making comments of the certain groups that was about at the time, doing exactly what's happening now. The infighting, the whinging, the crying, you know. SAMMY plug, Noel Plum will be...
They don't have a shared thing.
What?
There's no shared thing for atheists. There's no shared belief.
Well, we all hate Jill. I mean...
You
That's a shared thing, I think.
His name is Trolley, and he mouthed and he fucked and he said he would be here the night and he never turned up either. And that's it. That's all we're talking about.
Are you really surprised?
Does, bro.
Like,
Yeah,
are you
no.
really surprised?
So
Jill's
I
a piece
have
of
something I'd
shit.
like to add about to this. I am fairly new to the YouTube side of things. I do a podcast. The CA has a YouTube channel. Fuck all on there. You won't find a goddamn thing.
I couldn't even find the channel.
But it's interesting because when you talk about the infighting and stuff like that, it might be what pisses me off more than anything else, and that's a lot to say. But we have this, and just for anybody who doesn't know, I take the strong position: the Christian God doesn't exist, just doesn't. So you know, I take more the philosophical stance on the definition of atheism. But if you take the dictionary stance,
if you say that one more time, somebody else may appear. So just be careful. Don't say that too many times.
Don't summon the he that shall not be named.
Yeah. So, but the infighting like if you want to use the dictionary definition, say, you know, I just lack a belief. Okay, fine. I don't care. At the end of the day, if we're all non-theists, whether you be strong atheist, weak atheist, agnostic, whatever it is, we have a common enemy, and this common enemy thinks that there's some fucking thing in the sky, and they talk to it daily. And those are the people that we need to be working together against, because they want to impact public policy. They want to try to make it so that same-sex couples can't be as miserable as straight couples when they're married.
Exactly.
And you know,
talking to them is hard.
Yeah,
because they're batshit crazy a lot of the time.
Well, okay, so I don't care I don't care about your thoughts, right? Generally speaking, what really bothers me is like, we've always had crazy people. We're always going to have crazy people. People need to think crazy shit to get through the day. And, you know, life is hard. So if you want to think that you have like a magic sky daddy that's looking over you personally, and that makes you feel better, that's fine. What I would love, though, is if our politicians didn't buy into it just so they could get their re-election votes.
Mm-hmm.
If they would just say, you say place. There's a church over there, get in it, and let me do my job, you know, the legislating.
Have your
I have to bring together Christians and Muslims and Jews and Pakistani. That would make me so much happier.
Yeah, and that's specifically what I'm talking about. Christopher Hitchens said something wonderful about this in one of his debates. He said, the religious people, they have this thought in their head, that there's this God or something, and you think it would make them happy, but it doesn't. They can't be happy till you believe it too. Mm-hmm. And that's where, I say, we need to come together as a community and try to stand up against, and I don't care whether it's Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, any of those other, they're all based on nonsense. And so that's what we need to be fighting against. And it's different, like in Canada, which is really weird. I mean, the third line of the Canadian Constitution recognizes the supremacy of Almighty God. And yet, ironically, we are more secular than the U.S. will ever be.
we've had lots of arguments about that in the UK as well. The fact that we have a state, do you think the fact that we have a state church,
okay, so then
allow us to kind of put a lot of things aside, whereas in the US, the complete separation has allowed them to get a lot more power.
Mm-hmm. So looking at the obvious problem, you just explained it very well. Yes, there's this group that just doesn't want to hear it. Now, it to me, it falls along the lines of there's right now in the United States, pretty much is reaching out all over the world, defund the police. Look, I'm not a big fan of the way the police acts, but instead of the rhetoric being defund them, re-educate them, right? Let's try to find a way to forgot the word I'm looking for, but let's re-educate them on how they should be policing. I feel that should apply in this instance as well. There's been a loss of education of origins of things, of why people think the way they do. We're talking about thousands and thousands of years, 2,000 years at least, that we could think about people referring to something that helps them get by. So it's something, it's muscle memory at this point. And to change that, it's going to take more than just fighting. Like, we have to start teaching people how to go out and vote, how to get involved in their community, how to be a part of children's education, how to make sure that the path is actually going down a rational path instead of trying to find the right morals to live by. Because we're all going to make mistakes as we go along. But if we start thinking rationally, we start thinking critically, and we start teaching our children to do that, start teaching communities to do that, then we can start making a difference. Because it's going to take another 1,000 years before we can let go of the shit.
Well, I mean, but even then there are certain Christians that aren't complete assholes about the stuff that they talk about. Like, a good instance is my buddy, this one guy. He's probably the most. If you didn't hear him say it, you probably wouldn't think he was a Christian. That sounds bad, but he's really chilled out. He lets a lot of things happen. So not all of the Christian people on YouTube are assholes, but a majority of them are. And even in that part of YouTube, there's infighting. I mean, because if you're not, for instance, Richard gets attacked by all these other Christian YouTubers because he doesn't believe in the same shit that everyone else does. So I mean, it's fucking stupid, man. It feels like YouTube is turning into a high school popularity contest where if you're not in a certain clique, then you're not worth shit, and it's just so stupid.
It's quite funny as you say that, man, because everybody has their certain opinion of me, and I like to think that people have a very nice opinion of me. But if BRAINBUG shared you the screenshot of the message I had with yesterday, along the same lines of what you're saying with the high school competitive, only with a lot more fucks, a lot more blinding, and a lot more screaming and shouting.
Yeah, I was just going to say someone's echoing.
Hey, yeah, I was been kind of laying low lately. It's been a rough year, understatement, right? So, had some personal stuff that I just really needed to focus on. I've been out of the community for a while, but I couldn't possibly hold candle to her. Oh yeah, real quick though, I did want to say to Amanda, give a shout out to her interview with Dark Matter. It was about 2 weeks ago. It's really good.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're doing something else together Okay, you fucking said me, and then you were like, "Nah, fuck you, Sal."
What did I do?
Not you, Sal. Hit you, dick.
Huh?
I haven't even talked since I've been on here earlier to say Richard's beard was really fucking red. You're like, okay, cool. Oh, say hi to Maya. We've never actually been, well, not face to face now because I'm Icon, but we've never had like this nice over you. So
yeah, it's usually been like a wavy emoji in the side chat. But yeah. Actually, I'm a big fan of a lot of people in here.
Yeah, thank you. That's it. I don't know, what am I doing this? I don't know if I'm going to do stuff this weekend now. So, but if I am, Chris Shelton is coming on Sunday night. We're talking about Race Paperclip on my channel. That's it. I'm done. You can fuck off now, Robbie.
You also have a big hangout coming up on the 16th.
Yes, I do.
Massive big hangout with lots of big famous class, fantastic people.
10 days away.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be huge. If you're not subscribed and notify bell, you're gonna miss it.
That's something I'm doing with Dark Matter too, Maya. So you want to come watch?
Just as when I was sneezing, I muted an OBS and I forgot to unmute. So I'm back. I have to do it at least once a stream. Wonderful. Sal, thanks for joining the community back again. I know you were having some personal time for yourself as well. So Sal, what have you got going on?
Okay, I'm back. I feel a hell of a lot better. Thank you. Miss you guys. Thank you for everybody who's been there for me. You guys are great. Really wouldn't be here without you. Moving forward, I don't know. I'm not stressing anything. I actually have to get back into my artwork. I'm still not there. I got to figure that one out. Other than that, rocks are atheist. Yeah.
Fuck off my fucking stream. That's it. You're not even getting back on again. Right. Brian, what have you got going?
Next week I am going to be next Tuesday, 6:30. I'm going to be co-hosting the Your Friendly Neighborhood Atheist Perspective call-in show. So I did that a couple weeks back, so it was really fun. I'm going to be doing that again. So yeah, on Tangelo, we can talk there too if you want to talk there. I have questions about some of the things you said, but other than that, I don't have anything coming up immediately. I'm thrilled to be on here with a lot of you guys. You all are great. Some of y'all the first time. Michael, Maya. I see Maya in the chats all the time. I've never been able to talk to her. Hi, and it's been a long time since I've seen Sal, and I'm glad he's back in the community because he's always a great voice. The rest of y'all fuckers I see all the time, but well, not you, Rip. I guess this is our first time.
I was going to say it's been a few times, but not all the time.
Yeah.
If I can just give a shout out for Brian, definitely if you have not subscribed to Brian under BrainBug, the YouTube channel, this man in 6 months is going to be bigger than every single person on this panel. As much as that'll fucking annoy me, I will be very, very proud to have been there at the start. But Brian is overcoming all of us as an up-and-coming star. And even if you don't like bugs, Dave hates spiders, he still watches BrainBug. It's entertaining, it's informative, and it's well done, and it's definitely, the production is good. I taught him everything he knows.
Look at my Richard there. Did you see that?
Rib, what have you got coming up?
Nothing at the moment on my personal channel. I'm doing a debate over on the iDebate server. It's only kind of been agreed on, so we don't have like a date or anything, but that will be up on my channel as soon as it's done. But as a date or anything like that, I don't have anything to kind of say. I wish that I could be here for Michael, your chat next week. That's on Wednesday. Wednesday? Yes, no?
Thursday? I thought it was the 11th, whatever the 11th is.
Okay. Well, for then or for next week when Smokey is back, I am working late both of those days, so I will unfortunately not be able to be here. But I'll be here when I can. If MathPig allows me to, of course.
Oh, yeah, I might let you in. You know, you weren't that entertaining the night, but we'll give you another chance. Dave, you have finished your Critical Questions Series 1. Critical Questions Series 2. Is there a date? Is there a time? Is there a...
There is... it's not so much that there is a date and a time. There will be a special episode next week where I'm going to try and get back as many guests as possible. And then Series 2 will start the following week. That's it.
Cool. Perfect. Nick, if I can just say thanks for joining. We're doing the roundup, but I'll get back to you in a minute. If we can go to Michael. Michael, have you anything to add to what you said earlier? And other than that, you'll be here Wednesday? Or Tuesday? Is it Wednesday?
Whatever the 11th is, I can't remember what day it is.
Yeah, it's the 11th, whatever fucking day that is.
My brain shut off 3.5 minutes ago. So it was nice to be here for the first time. Thanks so much to Rib for mentioning that MathPig you'd wanted to have a chat, and it's been great to be here. Only had a chance to talk for a little bit to most of you, but I'd be honored to have each and every one of you onto the podcast. I'm going to put a little note just in the chat here. You can send me an email.
I don't write Nick's name down. He just joined.
And I'm not kissing ass at all, but especially the women here, because it's really encouraging to see women with voices in the movement. It's long overdue, and you are too few as it is. My wife's an atheist, but she's like, fuck off and do your thing. So, but I mean that sincerely. Every single one of you. I'm going to put my full name in there. So find me on Facebook, send me a friend request, send me an email to the podcast, and we'll schedule you on. No questions at all. And have a chat about whatever it is you happen to be doing. Brian, I did have one question for you. Is that because I keep snakes, so you can't see them, but I've got terrariums with pythons around me. Is that a fish tank behind you, or you said bugs? So is it like a...
Yeah, there's a tarantula in there, a giant bird eater. She's down our hole right now, but she comes out and visits us sometimes on the glass.
Wait a minute. I've been watching you all this time, and you've got a huge fucking spider behind you.
It's okay, dude. She's behind glass. Yeah. I usually don't keep them in an aquarium like that, but since it's for display behind me, there's no harm in her being in there. But I like having something more round usually to keep them in.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, and I'll shut up now. But please, again, send out send email stuff like that, and I'd love to talk more in depth with each and every one of you. And MathPigs, thanks so much for having me.
No, appreciate it, man. Really look forward to Wednesday, and we get a deep dive into another Canadian atheist.
It's actually Tuesday. I've just looked on my calendar. It is actually Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday? We'll see. Fuck a lot I know.
Tuesday, yeah. It's Tuesday then. Right. Well, on that note, purely because I didn't get to use it, we're going to go with this. Absolute dumpster fire. Yeah, dumpster fire. Didn't get to use it, so we're going to go with it now. Nick, you've got 2 minutes while we burn. You've just jumped in at the end. Say hello before I kick you.
I don't need 2 minutes. I was just coming in to say hi. I was browsing. I saw you guys were on, came up on my notifications, and I was just like, oh, I thought I was hoping I'd catch the beginning. I caught the end. So I'm not. I just came in to say hi. That's it. Hi, welcome. Thanks for having me. Sorry, I saw the link. I'm going to come in. It'll be a lot of fun. And I show up. Everybody bails. Story of my life. What kind of show are you running here? I show up like, oh, Nick's here.
You see, this is the thing. You're picking on my show. You're picking on my show. I'm picking on your alarm clock, man. Get a fucking modern alarm clock. See these digital things with buttons? You're a bit old. These analog clocks, they don't work no more.
I know exactly what...
I
did get my meds today.
In Nick's defense, YouTube does have the worst notifications that have ever existed.
Yeah.
So, well, Nick, thank you very much.
That's it. I'm not offended at all.
If you're free next week, man. If you're free next week, 5:30, same time we start at 5:30 Eastern. We start at. Come on, we try and leave it open to everybody. Open chats back and forth. Something similar to the good old days of Google Plus. That's what we're aiming for, you know.
Perfect. I will definitely try to. I mean, hey, open to everybody. That's a bar even I can usually make. I'll try.
So on that note, we will say thank you to everybody. Thank you very much for everybody watching. We topped 40 views tonight, which is absolutely fantastic. So everybody for coming. It wouldn't be anything without you watching. If you want to support the channel, we have Patreon below, wish lists and all that sort of stuff. And hit the button, like, and do all that YouTube stuff. And yeah, we'll see you back here for Sunday for Noel Plum. Very, very excited about that. If you haven't found it, go and set the reminder. Noel Plum is a very, very good objective view on everything from outside the community. So we will oink and we will out.
I'm going.